Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of the Hey Eintracht Frankfurt podcast in video form. The Bundesliga podcast covering everything that there is to know in the English language about Eintracht Frankfurt, not only the greatest club in the Bundesliga in Germany and Europe, go into Stuttgart and, steal your victory. Shit. So Garret here in Metro Detroit, joined double dose, following up. We kept the Adler Europa with Brian on Thursday. We got two of my main mans lately in here lately. Start John and Blair rocking a vintage and show the sleeves. You're wearing a long sleeve vintage Puma. How are you this evening, good sir?
Doing all right. Good weekend for our dear Adler, so can't complain.
And being joined also from New York, the man that Eintracht Frankfurt brought joy to, his New York City FC advancing in the MLS playoffs, makes up for some other things. Matt, how are you, good sir?
Good weekend to be a soccer fan, that's for damn sure. That's the real football, so we'll keep it at that.
Yeah, we may have some other NFL banter later on for things that are taking place this weekend. Of course, because it is an international weekend for the Männer. There is some Frauen things that we're going to be talking about this coming weekend. We'll get to that. But let's start off with what's taken place recently. I wanted to get
shout out the veterans as well.
Yes, happy Veterans Day, Remembrance Day. We thank everybody who has served not just this country but their respective countries. I know off the top of my head for Hey Eintracht Frankfurt podcast, I know Chris, our buddy Chris Monroe, back from Europe, unfortunately, voice gone for right now, so maybe featured in soon. So to the man that definitely loves #what are we drinking, we'll get to all that, but Prost, my friend, and to all for serving. Also our buddy, I think also to Chris and Austin, if I remember as well, amongst some others. If we forgot anyone, we apologize, but here's to you. Wanted to get Matt, before we get into the weekend, I wanted to get Matt and John's thoughts on the Europa League contest that took place on Thursday for Eintracht Frankfurt. Slavia Prague, 12:45 Eastern kickoff, decided by, seems to be like the new, we talk about Omar Marmoush scoring like death and taxes, but Omar Marmoush scoring free kick bangers, being the decider in that matchup, getting the 3 points, seeing Eintracht Frankfurt move into what looks like, if I'm not mistaken, a 6-way tie for the top of the Europa League table. And here and there, yeah. We are second because Lazio is 4-0. But Ajax, Galatasaray, Eintracht Frankfurt, Anderlecht, and Athletic Club Bilbao, all with 10 points. So, with that big win, Matt, I'll start with you. What was your takeaway from that win over Slavia Prague?
I mean, it's crazy because I feel like the Diva always kind of would attack us in this game or even at the game, over the weekend against Stuttgart and stuff. But it seems like every time she comes knocking on the door, we don't open the door. We just kind of let her keep knocking. And, that free kick from Omar Marmoush was kind of a perfect example of it. I mean, bar down, couldn't hit anything perfect. I mean, he's one of only 2 players to score 3 free kick goals in 3 competitive matches like that. Everybody, I'm sure, can guess who the other person is. Kind of messy, but no. I mean, this game against Slavia Prague. I mean, it's always tough against the Baltic teams, right? Because they play in front of a rowdy crowd. It's always elbows to the faces. It's always a grind game. I mean, they dominated us on possession. I mean, they had a couple more shots than us and whatnot. I mean, they're an aggressive team, but we held our own, and then Omar Marmoush, our Egyptian king, came to the savior essentially.
Indeed, John. I think my takeaway think Brian talked about in our recap as well. Matt, you made it. Slavia Prague went at us. Slavia Prague went at us, forced the issue maybe a little bit more than what we were thinking. So, like, happy that we got the goal. Are you more happy that we got the win the way we did, or are you like or concerned that it was another 1-0 grind?
No,
sorry.
I thought you were talking to me still. My bad. No, I thought the line should deal, like I said, the door kept it closed.
Yeah, I mean, you went into that game knowing that Slavia was going to be a very tough opponent. They are dominating the Czech league right now, and they showed exactly why. They created a lot of chances, and they defended us well for the most part. I think part of it, too, was us looking ahead to the weekend a little bit as well. That's definitely a factor, and, of course, having played, on Sunday. And, you know what, I'll take the result. I don't mind that the game played out how it did. It's what I expected from it. And you know what? Came away with the victory. Obviously, a draw wouldn't have been an ideal situation, but I would have been okay with that result as well.
So, tied for second in the table. Next Europa League game is currently slated for November 28th. Midtjylland in Denmark. So, happy Thanksgiving to all of our folks in the U.S. 3 o'clock Eastern. So, if you're at dinner, put the game out at the table. If you're, eating later, perfect. Hopefully you don't have an upset stomach from watching this team. We'll talk more about that as we get closer into Europa League. On to the next thing, Frauen time. We're going to save, obviously, our fun thing for the last. We'll go around the Bundesliga before. Because, especially I'm sure that our friends at 50 Plus Donor that are maybe checking this podcast out maybe want us to not talk about our matchup with them. But don't worry, y'all. We're going to talk about it. It's incredibly fun. Let's go around the Bundesliga. Bayern Munich, Freiburg. Friday, Freiburg had a 2-0 lead. Bayern clawed their way back, got a point. They seem to always either get a win late, get a draw late lately, but drop points. Opens the room for something. VfL Wolfsburg with their 3-0 win over Hoffenheim did take the top position. Sunday, Bayer Leverkusen 3-0 over Potsdam. Karlsruhe Siena 0, Werder Bremen 1. And then today, SKS Essen 0, RB Leipzig 0. But they're not the main event. They're not the entertaining. They're not the holy shit, that was that scoreline. That belonged to Eintracht Frankfurt Frauen and FC Köln. Eintracht Frankfurt Frauen 8. Yes, you heard that. FC Köln 0. Hat trick from Laura Freigang. Brace from Geraldine Reutler. Volter, Dorsen, Sense. John, I'll have you lead. I saw the highlights on the club's app. We could have hit double digits.
Yeah, I mean, I just watched the highlights before this as well, and Köln looked bad. They looked really bad. Our forwards were just feasting the entire game. Their back line was wide open. I don't think Osagus in goal played a great game for them either, especially on that Sense shot. I think she could have saved that one. But, I mean, what a great performance. The ladies are just kicking it right now, completely dominating the league in terms of goals scored, goals allowed. It's really something fun to watch. And Laura Freigang, leading goal scorer in the league right now on an absolute heater.
I mean, it was a practical, it looked like a friendly game. I mean, Köln and Potsdam aren't, the best teams in the league either, but at least show some sort of fight. I mean, I feel like they're the highest scored against teams in the league right now. So, hey, we did our business, and on to the next one. Essentially, we still have kept a clean sheet, still have a better defensive record than anybody else right now. So let's continue the grind.
I think that's almost the fucked up stat number one of this evening. Is, as you mentioned it, 31 goals scored, leading the Frauen Bundesliga, 5 goals allowed in 9 games. I would still wait, is Eintracht men or women? Okay, let's go. I think now, before we get into Hoffenheim real quick, how with Bayern dropping points, and also knowing that both Bayern and Wolfsburg have that added competition still with the Champions League, how much is the combo of drop points Bayern getting getting the routine win when you need to sets them up for the rest of this calendar year?
No, it's great. I mean, and Wolfsburg and Bayern obviously are playing in the next couple days in Champions League. Hopefully they'll be tired out for their matches coming up this weekend. Although Wolfsburg doesn't really have to worry about too much with that one, unfortunately. Actually, neither of them do. But yeah, I mean, them dropping points. Freiburg were nice, and unfortunately, they were just able to get that win in the end, or the draw in the end. Wolfsburg, they're kind of clicking right now. They started off pretty slowly. I still think they're weaker than they were last year. I think they will drop some points along the way, and we're in a great position.
Yeah, no, smooth position. I mean, usually Bayern or Wolfsburg kind of drop points later on to the season. The fact that they are doing it early now gives a lot more room for error on their part, especially, us, tying Bayern was a huge result. But yeah, I mean, the big next game to look for is, Wolfsburg playing Leverkusen in December. And, maybe it could be an opportunity where Wolfsburg, drops points there and, we could retake first place again.
Leverkusen are
They're good.
Here. They're right up there. I think they're tied with us on points right now. Yeah, obviously not as good of a goal difference as us with Bayern, but they've been really solid. Now they still have to replay their first game of the year, so we'll see what happens with that.
Have they set a date for that yet? Do we know?
I don't know. I haven't seen.
So it's wild. And then, you got Leipzig in 5th with 16 points. Freiburg and Werder Bremen, it's 14 points. Hoffenheim with 12. Essen with 8. And then you have the drop-off. Cardiac Siena with 3. 3 goals scored and 9. Only allowed 12, which is much better than the bottom 2. See, Köln, 2 points. 7 scored, 27 allowed. Turbine Potsdam, 28 allowed, but they still have not scored in 9 games.
In 9 games, that's crazy. How do you even, go to practice with that still?
And when we talk about the Frauen Bundesliga this coming weekend, it's not going to get easier for the bottom 2. We'll talk about those matches later on. But on to the Männer. And around the Bundesliga, Stuttgart Eintracht Frankfurt was Sunday at 11:30. So let's kind of go in to the most of the matches that took place before. I think the first matchup on Friday, as I get into the matches that took place, Union Berlin, Freiburg, 0-0, entertaining from what I saw on the highlight show today. VfL Bochum, new manager, doubled their point total. 1-1 with a late goal over Leverkusen. Dortmund did Dortmund at Mainz. Emre Can sent off. Mainz 3, Dortmund 1. St. Pauli, Bayern Munich, a match here that was on ESPN2. I think for a lot mainly of supporter and, reasons, maybe more so than the matchup on the field. But Jamal Musiala gets the goal for Bayern, but a spirited St. Pauli performance almost sees him get a point. Werder Bremen with a late winner via Oliver Burke over Holstein Kiel. RB Leipzig, Mönchengladbach, 0-0, also entertaining. Augsburg, Hoffenheim, 0-0. Materazzo for Hoffenheim was go today. And Heidenheim won, Wolfsburg 3. But before Heidenheim, Wolfsburg was VfB Stuttgart, Eintracht Frankfurt. A matchup that 2 passionate supporter groups, 2 teams that can play football when they're on, really good football, and a wild card in for some of our folks in officiating in the terms of Felix Slayer. 60,000 in attendance, what you want to see in there. Stuttgart rode 4-2-3-1. They had lost midweek and the Champions League to Atalanta 0-2. Nubel and goal. Wagnerman, Ronald, Chabot, Mittelstadt, your back 4 for them. Kaiser, Stiller, the holding 2 midfielders. Reeder, Milo, Furyk, and the Marovich. Eintracht Frankfurt countered. Looked like they were rotating between the 4 and the 3 in the back in this one. Kevin Trapp in goal. Tuta, Koch, Teat, and then Nemandi Collins. I'm used to Nico Collins like it's Lions Texans yesterday. Nemandi Collins, Skiri, Larson, Nathaniel Brown, Mbembe, Marmoush, and Hugo Ekitike. A little bit of back and forth. Eintracht Frankfurt gets into the groove late in the first half, wins a corner. Marmush to Ekatike just before the half. Chances starting to roll. Second half, Nathaniel Brown, tap it. Great little movement by Ansgar Knopf, who came on at half, and Bembe. Matt, you mentioned it earlier, Omar Marmush, and that I swear it's like oh, okay, what are we gonna see? Omar Marmush gets a free kick. Put that in there. Like, that's almost becoming a sure bet. Almost becoming a sure bet is matchups never ending the way that you think that they do. Wagnerman in the 86th, Voltsmata in the 90th, and thankfully Furyk was just a foot off sides in the 96th. 3-2 to the Adler. Matt will have you lead off. If you want, you can talk about officiating, but also kind of talk about what you were seeing as far as our performance, how we played, and then kind of like how you think we were reacting to what Stuttgart was trying to do in the match, especially that late charge.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing with the game before, where it's just like, the Lana Shadeva was knocking on the door and just didn't let her in. I mean, would I have been shocked for us to shit away a 3-0 lead? Yes. Would I not be shocked at the same time? Of course. But I think what the biggest problem was towards the end is, like, we made way too many offensive, like, substitutions. I mean, we're putting Scheibe in, we're putting Knauff in, Matanovic, Gutsa, like, we're up 3-0, and I think 3-1 by the time Gutsa came in. It's just like, all right, like, why don't we put in maybe Dahoud, who's a little bit more defensive minded, bring him back there, maybe Amenda, maybe put 5 in the back over there. So I don't know. It seemed like we were getting too comfortable for the team we've been for the decades essentially, and obviously Topmo doesn't know that, trying to bring in this own culture and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, I think the overall performance, I still would give it an A. I mean, besides like the last like 20 minutes and everything like that, I mean, everything seemed pretty clicked on. We kind of let Stuttgart do their thing with the possession side. They took a bunch of like shots from the outside. Kevin Trapp made some great saves, but I felt like we were kind of controlling the chaos that Stuttgart was bringing us. So, I mean, it was definitely a solid win. I mean, it's scary, but like I said, we kept the diva outside of our house. We didn't let her in, and she's still knocking. It just depends when we want to let her in.
John, I want to also make note, like 7 months ago, about Eintracht Frankfurt traveled to Stuttgart on a Tippspiel in April. Were embarrassed within the first 20 minutes of that match, lost 3-0. Fast forward 7 months, this result, night and day.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the team is night and day from then, honestly. Yeah, I mean, for the most part, the players are similar. Some changes in defense and midfield, but the way that we're playing right now is completely different. You can see Dino's vision now. I think there were some fair question marks last year about how we were playing. He's fully implemented his style this year. The players are obviously buying in, and it's getting the results. Obviously we went into that game knowing that we were going to let Stuttgart dominate the possession. We didn't allow them too many great chances, but obviously they still had plenty of opportunities to score before us. Of course, they were given that penalty. Kevin Trapp saves it, though. I thought that, bringing on Ansgar Knauff at halftime was a good substitution from Dino. I thought Dina Bembe looked okay going forward. Obviously had that missed shot right on the edge of halftime, but he was kind of getting eaten alive by Furyk and Mittelstadt on that side defensively. So that was a really good change. I thought that helped us control the game a bit for those first 20 minutes in the second half. But yeah, like Matt was mentioning, why bringing on Gutsa as the replacement for Larson instead of Dahoud, bringing on Shaibi, Bahoya, and then Matanovic as the late subs didn't really make a lot of sense, and it allowed Stuttgart to grow back into this game, and we nearly got bit in the ass from that.
If Matanovic played defense, it would have made sense. Just we could clear the ball every time with his head or just boot it out, but he wasn't back there. Not bringing on Amenda is kind of weird to me. I don't think he's the greatest player necessarily, but it would have made a lot more sense in the context of this game than bringing on Matanovic.
Give me a player for the both of you that stood out yesterday and here's the caveat, not named Hugo Ekitike or Omar Marmoush.
They don't stand out. They're studs. They're always studs. I don't know. I felt like Tuta kind of stood out to me, but not necessarily in the most positive way. I felt like his yellow card was kind of childish still. And I don't know, he's definitely very passionate about the team, which I really liked as well. But I don't know. I just feel like those silly yellow cards is just not something we're looking for who's been back there for the past 4 years. You know what I mean? Like him and Trapp are essentially our longest standing players right now on the team, and I don't know. I didn't like that too much. So that kind of left me a bad taste.
Yeah. What about you, John?
I get why Tuta was frustrated about that. Obviously, Marmoush got ball, but he does need to control his emotions there. He had already been yelling at Sveier earlier in the game, and Sveier had warned him. So as soon as he did that again, it was going to be a second yellow, or not a second yellow, a first yellow. I thought he played a decent game other than that, though. For me, I think Archer Teata looked pretty good coming back in, and I thought he looked pretty solid, made some nice runs going forward. So for him, he's a player that I kind of liked his game from today, or not today, yesterday.
I'm going to go Nathaniel Brown. When you think about, for me in particular, the fact that Nathaniel Brown has gone from what did he do to be in the doghouse to holy shit, he's had 3 significant contributions in the last week and 2 consecutive goals in league matches. Similar style tap in, playing a little bit higher up as opposed to straight up fullback. I think it's a great sign. It shows you that we are deeper, we're playing confident, and then maybe Eintracht can out behind that for me because I think last year we thought that if you put him on the right wing, it's more of a liability. But he's grown into that side of the role this year too. Used this skill set well to create that pass to Nathaniel Brown. But I agree with coach decisions on there. It was almost like that Darmstadt game in January when we blew the 2-0 win, and just like the quote then Eintracht Frankfurt player Sasha Kalajic, that match was we forgot how to play football. We almost did that again. And maybe if Stuttgart was a little bit more on in the year, we do lose the 3 points. Or if it's earlier in the year, like what happened against Victoria Pilsen. So,
yeah, but he's also playing for us because he's our best lefty right now. We don't have another great lefty.
Yeah. So we talked about the great fucked up stat, number 2, and Omar Marmoush, 3 consecutive matches with a free kick goal across all competitions. Mini fucked up stat time, which maybe is concern. 2 consecutive league matches where Eintracht Frankfurt have conceded 2 goals after at least scoring 3 in Bochum and Stuttgart. The second time that it was late in the year, giving up 2 goals late after scoring 3. The first one was Victoria Pilsen in Europa League. But the not fucked up, actually, you know what? It's a good fucked up stat time, is going into this international break, 10 matches in, Eintracht Frankfurt are sitting in 3rd place in the Bundesliga.
That was a good fucked up stat.
6 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses. Second most goals scored in the Bundesliga with 26. Granted, 7 were against Wolfsburg. Not Wolfsburg, Bochum. I'm sorry. We did score 2 against Wolfsburg, and Omar Marmoush told his own former fans to kick rocks. I will say one thing that is concerning right now is we've given up 16 and 10, but scoring 26 and 10.
I'd love to see those stats, what they are, how many goals were scored against in the last 15 minutes from the 75th onwards.
Yeah, it is, I think, a wild factoid when you see late rushes in matches. Holstein Kiel was 1, Wolfsburg was 1, Mönchengladbach we got 1 in. Bochum was a late run after 2. So
Victoria Pilsen.
Yeah. So I think it tells you a lot. Everything in there. So table time. VfL Bochum are out at 2 points, still rock bottom. They've scored a goal a game, but they've also given up 3 a game. Holstein Kiel, 5 points, second from bottom. Spirited performance against Bremen. They look a lot better than the side that started off in the year. So as it gets colder, I think our buddy Brian's mentioned it in the Hep Pod that they can become an advantage for Holstein Kiel in the winter. That further north team in the Bundesliga right now. Be interesting to see. St. Pauli are back in the bottom three with 8 points via the Hoffenheim draw. Hoffenheim are out of the promotion relegation playoff spot, but we'll be having a new manager come the next matchup. Heidenheim struggling in league play, doing great in Conference League, unbeaten in Conference League, but they are now in 14th with 10 points. Augsburg are at 12 points, tied with Wolfsburg. VfB Stuttgart in 11th with 13 points. Ahead of them, also on 13 points, Mainz. We think Mainz are done. They're like, no. You ain't seen nothing. Mönchengladbach and the Tim Kleindienst show are currently at 9th with 14 points. Werder Bremen in 15th place. 7th place. I mean, I had it predicted at 6th. The fact that they're at 7th makes me even happier. 18 goals scored, 18 allowed in 10 games for them at 16. Union Berlin are in 16th. In 6th with 16 points, getting after rebounding from the loss at Bayern. Freiburg, Bayer Leverkusen level with 17 points, but Leverkusen gets the 4th spot due to goal difference. Freiburg in 5th. Talked about Eintracht Frankfurt in 3rd. 1 point ahead of them. RB Leipzig in 2nd. Bayern Munich in 1st. 26 points, 26 goal difference. Are we concerned yet that it's back to the old days, or is it just really, really early and they're going to slip up soon?
I mean, who are they going to slip up against? They already slipped up against us, and that was still a draw. And with the way that some of the other teams that want to compete are playing, I don't see it. And especially Leipzig, they've been kind of dropping off in form recently. I know Xavi Siemens has been injured. He'll be back soon, but I just don't see Bayern dropping the points like that. They've been playing really well overall. I know they've got concerns on the defense, but still a very, very good side.
Yeah, the only team I can see is maybe Bayer Leverkusen. The Xabi Alonso figures it out over there, back to where he was last year. But I don't see Dortmund doing it. I don't see Leipzig doing it. I don't see us really being the biggest threat in Bayern's, case. I mean, who knows? Maybe we can beat them again at the Allianz Arena like we did like 4 or 5 years ago. But I don't know, man. Maybe Vincent Kompany's actually figured it out with this team and is actually a pretty good coach. So we'll have to see and wait and find out.
They're Bayern Munich's only 2 losses in all competitions this year have been in the Champions League. 1-0 loss to Aston Villa despite having 81% of the possession in Birmingham. My close English friend was at that game. It was apparently an Emi Martinez shithouse extraordinaire. And then Barcelona 4-1 win on October 23rd. So Bayern.
That was a Hansi Flick revenge game, though. That was like a big fuck you to all of them.
I will say with Bayern, they got a 3-game stretch. PSG in Champions League, Dortmund in Dortmund, Leverkusen in a week span. So that
gauntlet.
That's in the Pokal. So that could be something potential on there, but we shall see. Now on to a traditional segment, which is hashtag what are we doing? John, lead off. I know you always seem to have something fresh, fun, exciting taking place by you every weekend. You're in the middle of hockey season and the pain of this year's Jacksonville Jaguars season. So, what was your beverages and what you having now?
Well, went to Korean barbecue with my brother the other night, so had some soju as one must. Right now, I'm drinking Danzig Porter, which is from Devil's Backbone here in Virginia. I'm in Virginia right now. Haven't had this in a few years. It's pretty good, but I'm rather upset that they changed the design on this can. It used to be a bunch of ships, since Gdansk was a Hanseatic port, but now it's Christmas trees, I guess. I don't know. Doesn't make sense to me, but whatever. Still a great beer.
It's 'tis the season. I've been drinking Fiddleheads a lot recently. I don't know if you guys get them by you, but nice hazy IPA, 12 pack or 18 pack, $50 or $22. Can't beat it.
Damn.
Very, very nice. I was telling Brian on Thursday, I decided to treat myself a little bit after that win. For me, as far as like on there, I decided to go full on because I was like, what's healthier, ice cream or whole milk? Whole milk. So I don't have whole milk right now, but I got a cup of black tea, red rose black tea, which I've been, really enjoying lately on there too, because it's too late to have coffee right now. And, it's cold here in Michigan. Once the sun's come down, I don't know about the two of you, but a lot of our friends, the Gales of November have been calling, like it's the Edmund Fitzgerald. Back then, I had to explain the significance of that, like, and my mom responding, because my mom was 19 when Edmund Fitzgerald happened, and we were outside visiting and had coffee, and just the wind blowing through the back porch. I was like, well, the Gales have come, and I sound like Gordon Life. She goes, that's a good song. I'm like, thanks, Mom. So, wherever you're drinking, whatever you're drinking, whenever you're drinking it, to all of us, we say cheers and roast. And, the good times continue. On to good times and continuing. So the Männer are in international breaks. They will be playing the next weekend. John, two players returned are not going on international duty this week on the men's side, I believe. Hugo Larsson's one, and who's the other one that was for injury? I know it was talked about in their circles.
I know it was, and I don't remember at this point. I know Hugo Larsson obviously is not going because he went off injured last week. I'll try and find it, but I can't remember. Bahoya is also not going. Obviously, he would be for the U20s for France, I believe, but yeah. So he will not be going out.
Fun moment in our Discord circle, I think after Nathaniel Brown scored, Chris and Austin popped the question of, hey, when's Nathaniel Brown going to get that U.S. men's national team call up? And then we're all like, please, no.
He's English, isn't he?
No. He's German and U.S., but I think he's played youth level for Germany. I told him in Louisville that I hoped he would change his nationality to the U.S., but we'll see if that happens. Definitely doesn't need to be on the team right now, though.
Yeah, that was during the glorious times when it was 2-0, 3-0 before we all had to clutch ourselves late in that fucking match. So the Mount are going to be back next week, but it's Frauen. It's a Frauen week, and we will get into the Frauen matchup in here. And starting off, we'll go around the Frauen Bundesliga first as I get to that part. So we talked about it, how it was going to be painful, like it was going to be rough for the bottom two teams in being Turbine Potsdam and Karl-Heinz Jena. That is because Turbine Potsdam have to go to Wolfsburg, and Karl-Heinz Jena have to go to Bayern Munich.
Yikes.
Why do we want to wish pain and death and misery during the holidays, folks? Freiburg, SGS Essen, 12:30 on Friday. RB Leipzig, Bayer Leverkusen, 12:30 on Sunday. Monday, FC Köln versus Werder Bremen at noon. The big one, 11:10 in the morning on Saturday. Hoffenheim hosting Eintracht Frankfurt Frauen. Hoffenheim are, look to be on lost their last two in the play right now. Wolfsburg and then RB Leipzig. How are we feeling about this, gentlemen? John, why don't you start off, and then Matt?
Yeah, Hoffenheim, they're dealing with a lot of injuries right now. So it's been a pretty rough run of form for them. Obviously, they're a team that their expectation was to compete for top three, be right there with us as they have been for the past few seasons. And that's not the case right now. Right now, they're right at the bottom of the big group barely ahead of Essen. And they still have a lot of good offensive players. There's a real threat there. But overall, I think we've got the better side and should be able to come away with a victory here.
Yeah, I agree with John. I think we should have the cat in the bag here. I mean, they're not having the best of seasons right now. They're injury prone. We just thumped Köln, so all the momentum's on our side.
What do you got for predictions?
I'll go with 3-1. Give me Fragang, of course, and Yomi and Reuteler. She's on good run of form right now, I feel like.
I'll go with 3-0 just so we can get a clean sheet out of it.
Well, who are your goal scorers?
Fragang hat trick.
Also kind of almost like Death and Taxes times here.
What was that, her third hat trick of the year, I think, over the weekend? Third or fourth?
It's been a significant amount.
Back-to-back hat trick.
I am going to go Hoffenheim 0, Eintracht Frankfurt 4. Because I feel like they're in stride right now. Matt, you've had a saying that keep the Lanish Diva out in the cold. And this is a game that you want them to make sure they stay out in the cold and you respond. And plus, I think we 4-0'd Freiburg this weekend last year, if memory serves me right. So I think let's do it again that was actually a little bit later. It might have been Nuremberg 2-0 last year at this time. But Fragen with a brace, Reuteler, and a Dorson penalty because Sarah Dorson's been crushing penalties this year.
It's nice to have a consistent penalty taker, and she's been putting them away. Awesome to see her step up, and I still can't believe Wolfsburg gave her to us, honestly. What a for us.
Gifts that keep on giving. We're going to do also, since it's an international friendly weekend for the Männer, we actually have one more game that we have to do a prediction for. It's not an Eintracht Frankfurt match. It is a half-pod NFL matchup. And that is John's Jacksonville Jaguars traveled to Ford Field to take myself, Miles, and Chris's Detroit Lions. Lions coming off whatever the fuck we're going to call that game against the Texans last night. And as John is smashing the Baltic border to afford this preview. How are you feeling?
Oh, not great. Trevor's out for the year. It's going to be Mac Jones against you guys. This is going to be awful. My scoreline is going to be 35-3. I think it's not going to be pretty.
Damn. Matt, you want to chime in on the neutral, or are you worried that might cause some bad luck for your Jets?
Dude, the season's over for the Jets. Doesn't even matter. I mean, football's over for John and I here. I think Tank Bigsy's going to get at least one touchdown, but other than that, I think it's going to be like a 50 burger for the Lions.
I can't predict this to score 50 on that. Yes, we're 8-1. We have our best record since We have our best record since 2 years before my mom was born. 1954 to be exact on that. But I'll go 31-14.
Generous.
Just because I'm curious to see there, although it is Darius Smith's first game with the Lions on there, coming in from that trade, so it'll be fun. I mean, the painful thing about being in this situation is, yes, the Detroit Lions are 8-1. They have the best record in the NFC. But this, and in HFPOD, they have the second best record because Brian's Kansas City Chiefs have made a deal with the devil and consistently find ways to win games. So, congrats, Brian. I don't know what magic.
That's why he's our fearless leader.
That's going to happen again. Who knows? But yeah, if y'all want to chime in with other stuff on there, whether it's in audio form or video form in the YouTube, drop your comments on some other things what you might be checking out during these Manners international break, in addition to the Frauen's matchups. But now on to where you can check out everything with the show. You can go to hefpod.com first off, where you can find all of our prior episodes, a map of where you can find Eintracht Frankfurt supporters. I think we're working on getting the website linked in too, which also you can connect to the YouTube and the socials. Stuff here for the YouTube, the Hey Eintracht Frankfurt YouTube. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button. The more we get, the more you eventually get to do some of this shit live.
That's the goal.
Yeah. Shout out to Matt for crushing it on the Instagram work on here too. So especially the fun times, got to have that cool branding and cool content stuff. Like, you know, life in society may not be cool in other portions. And then also shout out to Miles for the branding, produced Nathan in St. Louis for all the producing, even though videos can be a bitch. And Brian in Kansas City for running ship, and Chris as well. About to go back over to Europe for a little bit of time, so hopefully he gets in with something with us on there too. Matt, where can folks find you online?
At Twitter Space on Matt SGE New York, and then on Instagram at _Wagner8.
John, what about you?
You can find me on Twitter at Ben_JBen. You can find me on Instagram at JohnBen33. Or on Blue Sky, johnben.bsky.social.
Find me Twitter, Instagram, Discord at GM Comats. I think I'm leaning towards eventually getting a Blue Sky account, but I have been used to being a 3 social media account for so long. So end of year, a goal by the end of the year. Let's get to there on the one steps at a time. But we thank everybody for checking out another episode of the Hey Eintracht Frankfurt podcast. We had 335 now, I think. If mem serves me right.
That's crazy. Holy crap.
Yeah. The fun rides continue to go. So we thank everybody that has continued to check out all of our episodes. Well, truly appreciate all of you. So for Matt in New York, John in Delaware or Virginia, depending on where it brings, Garrett here in Michigan, and to you anywhere around the world and in the U.S., we thank you. Until next time, so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen auf der Tschüss und Fórza SGE. Well, the Gales have come. Hey, Eintracht Frankfurt, la 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 la. Hey, Eintracht Frankfurt, la 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 la.